That's a good point. I know I've done a review where
Welcome to the Account Ads. This is part 2 of our AI session where we encourage you to start playing with some of these AI tools. We actually were meant to do this as one big episode, but family calls, and that's part of the appeal of us as accountants, particularly the Account Ads. We try to do this in our spare time, but Ash, we're back. I think the last time we did this, the sun was out. Now the sun's not out.
man, what a layout! What a layout! Oh my
Just a bit of a
gosh!
recap, everyone. We have been talking about playing with AI. This has come off the back of our debut at the Accounting and Business Expo, where a lot of the words on the lips of the accountants was just AI. And so we thought we'll talk about that because that was the bulk of the questions that you guys were asking. But just as a bit of a reminder, we wanted to essentially take you through this part of the AI maturity ladder. I think a lot of us are either at 1 or 2. As a bit of a recap, we're either utilizing AI as a search engine or utilizing it as a thought partner. But we're trying to encourage you to kind of move up the ladder into this assistant and agent phase. And ultimately, we want to be able to showcase to you things in 5, 6, and 7 as well, but baby steps. And that's kind of where we took it, Ash. And we've had a couple of examples already. What were your thoughts, Ash, from that first recap? Anything that we should remind the audience about?
Yeah. So you can put your data in, you can let it think, you can really prompt what you want to show. Like, it was just amazing to see like how smart the system was, and also what it was capable of. Like, so it was just truly amazing to see that. Something that would have taken me hours, if not days, if not weeks to do. You could just see this system just work on it, do everything as you request, and then actually produce some output, which was very tangible at that time, right? It's a real thing that's happening right now, and I was like, that's amazing. And even just the way it's integrated into Excel, I think game changing. Like, they're not fighting it; they've just gone, we'll work with it, and you've actually got the best of both, right? Like, it's amazing.
Absolutely, they've lent into it. Just one thing as well. I know we have this on the slide that says AI is a very fast, very capable grad. I was actually listening to a talk today by this girl that's one of the top accounting minds in the world, called Ali K. Miller, and she was saying that we should stop calling AI, like treating it like an intern or a grad. But intern or a grad can read through 500 pages and summarize that information for you in 30 seconds. What intern or a grad can have PhD level knowledge? What intern or a grad can have reasoning capabilities equivalent to the top scientists in the world? So she's like, treat AI to its capabilities, and if you do it that way, then you will add AI into your systems and your processes, trusting it to a level of its capabilities. So I thought that was a great insight, because particularly in the accounting world, we tend to think of these tools as, oh, it can just do the bottom level work for us so we can focus on, the reasoning, but actually can help us with all those really cool things as well. So that's a bit of my outtake. As we went through 2 examples, and if you guys missed the first 2 examples, we encourage you to go watch part 1 of this video, because this is part 2. But our first 2 examples were around just quick sifting of information from PDFs into CSV. So, as an example, this is an AP process. If you want to process and extract information from invoices very quickly, what could take a grad an hour or 2 now takes these tools, a couple of minutes at the most. Another example we went through was sifting through messy transactions and turning that into a P&L for any industry. Again, could have taken a couple of hours for a junior FP&A person, but this has pulled it together pretty quickly. The example we want to go through now, Ash, is now utilizing all of those parts of the first and second use case. We've got our third use case, and I think this is the more exciting stuff that comes after people have tried some of those first baby steps, is financial modeling. And ultimately, this is, how do we get some of these tools to think and reason with the information that we have, and then build a model off the back of it that we can validate, work through, but also then update after it's built and done the grunt work for us. So if you can imagine in some teams, they might have a junior and intermediate pull together the information that gets then sent to the intermediate senior person to pull all that together and start to model things together. And then that gets passed to the boss to then reason with it and make some decisions and change some inputs or outputs, which then gets presented. This is taking down all of that bottom layer to the point where all of the information is given. This is doing all that grunt work for you, even doing some of the reasoning for you. So you can do that final reasoning layer before you make a decision off the back of it, which is pretty cool, Ash.
Indeed. It's going to be amazing to see what this looks like.
So without further ado, let me open up. So for reference, guys, we've been using Claude, Claude Desktop, and it actually prompted me. I want to show you guys quickly how to install Claude Desktop because I was explaining this to someone the other day and they asked me, well, where do you get that from? Do you just go to um, the cloud version of Claude? And actually, there's an install. If you just type in install Claude Desktop, you should find it. But essentially, it works like an app on your desktop, or if you use a Mac OS version, it works as an app on there. But essentially, you just go to a website like this and install it. Search engine it should bring up a page like this. Essentially, go to the Claude downloads page, download it as an application, install it. Now, if you're on a work computer, some work computers don't allow this, depending on your organization's AI usage policy or application policy. But if they do, great. And then install it, log in, create an account if you have to. Try it out first, but I recommend getting on one of the high usage plans, particularly if you start to use this pretty heavily. But essentially, yeah, download it, install it, and you're away. So for today's example, I have an installed version here, which we are going to get through. And essentially, this is Ash. This is the leap from assistant to co-work, where we start to
Mm.
use this thing called Claude Projects. And it's essentially a persistent workspace for a client or a piece of work that we can start to utilize where you can create a bit of a knowledge base. So if we're doing work, it creates persistent memory. You can update instructions and it'll
Mhm.
continue to remember that as you work on any files internally in here. So I've set this up for a client. I've essentially got a client here called Precision Cabinets, P2R Limited. Um, I have uploaded a planning model in here. I think Actually, I'll take you through a couple of things. So once you set up a project, you just set up the name of the project. You can add the purpose of what this project is. So I've said this project will work like the FP&A system of precision cabinets, maintains our main planning model, contains supporting information, keeps long-term memory, and will produce forecast dashboards. I then give it instructions. So this is essentially the guardrails and guiding factor for this project. Essentially, it provides Claude, as it says here, with instructions and information on how to operate within this project. So you can see here, I've given it pretty specific instructions. I've said, you know, your role, you are the disciplined FP&A manager. You should be conservative with numbers, explicit about assumptions, auditable in every step, visually clear when a chart, table, or diagram explains something. Don't invent or hallucinate financial facts. You should be familiar with Australian trade and manufacturing businesses. I've given it some business context about who we are and essentially some conventions to apply to any modeling that we do. So all amounts in AUD, um, material costs, should track supply price movements, things like that. Things that if you're an accountant for the business, you kind of know off the back of your head. But if someone is walking in fresh, they might not know that, particularly if it's a clean slate AI agent. And so I've given them that. And then you can upload
So
any.
that's That's such a really critical area, isn't it? So you've actually set up all the rails and just come excited like your hierarchy, what to do, what not to do.
Yeah,
This is everything that I need to do in this project, right? So
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
it's a very critical step. How did you first learn how to sort of take the guardrails through this stuff?
Well, I think you do it through trial and error, but a lot of this, we shouldn't be embarrassed to copy what other people are doing. So a lot of there's some good content on LinkedIn, but if you are on X or even you see how other finance super users use Claude Co-work, I've just watched
Yeah,
their videos and essentially seen, okay, well, they're adding some of these guardrails to prevent hallucinations from happening. And so it makes you think, okay, maybe I should add some of these as well. And then once you start doing
yeah,
this
yeah,
repeatable for other projects, you kind of get your, top 10 things that you want every project to do that you just replicate. So
yeah,
trial and error. As I'm doing this, you might find, oh, actually, it's given me something which I don't like. So you take that and you add that into your instructions, so that next time you do it, it
yeah.
doesn't repeat that again. Um,
Perfect. Oh, that's great.
Off the back of that, you can also add um, files. So you can upload files. You can essentially, if there's anything that is relevant for its knowledge base, you can upload it into that. So what I've done is, as an example, I will upload a financial plan, which I've got. So essentially, this is a pre-created financial plan, which I will actually open up and show you guys to see what it looks like. It's three, and yeah, that's the one. So I'm adding this to my core, and if I show you what that looks like, again, AI created this for me as well. Um, and what I've done is I've created a planning model for this business, pretending like I was an FP&A manager and I have an existing planning model. And what I'm trying to do is, through this use case, show you that if you have an existing template and you just give it other information, it can populate that template for you in a way that you want it. So, again, very high level, as you see this coming over here. You can see January, December, I've got a planning model here for Precision Cabinets, Pty Limited. I've got a P&L, I've got assumptions, I've got headcount, and I've got kind of a mimicked cash flow model that this is created. So this is I'm an FP&A manager. I've got this in my business now. And what I'm going to do is I'll show you the scenario. So that's what I've uploaded. And now I am going to give it some guidelines because I want it to do something for me. I'm going to say, use the uploaded planning model and the uploaded April 2026 ERP export to complete our monthly rollover and reforecast. So that's my criteria I'm going to do first. And these two things that I'm asking it to use are the files that I've uploaded.
Hmm.
I'm going to say, I want you to advance this model by a month so that April 2026 becomes actuals and May 2026 onward remains a forecast. Then update the forward looking plan using these management changes. Now, I have got a list here that I'll just copy and paste because I don't want you to see me type everything. So this is all the changes I want. I'm just going to copy and paste that. It's a bit of a narrative, but essentially, these are things that you might sit down with your different operational leaders and they're saying, oh, I am going to uh, hire a production supervisor in May. And then you add that to your notes. I might hire a cabinet maker I'm going to hire sales coordinators. You're sitting with these different operational heads and they're giving you this information. You're writing them down in your
Mm.
notes or you're documenting them in a Word document. You're now just dumping that in here. Then you might say, okay, I sit down with my sales manager and he gives me some updates for the sales forecast. I've got that in here as well. I've got some other assumptions. I've said keep pricing unchanged across all product lines. Don't rewrite the whole revenue model. Adjust only what's required. Or this is a good instruction, or else it'll just scrap it all and create it new. So you're saying actually just use what I've got and do everything from there. And then I might give it some guardrails. So I might say important guardrails, please. One, preserve actuals as imported facts. Two, keep the model structure intact unless a break forces a repair. So this is saying essentially keep it intact, but if there's something that's broken because my model sucks, then yeah, absolutely fix it and tell me about it. If a requested change cannot be represented exactly in the model, explain the limitation and choose the closest transparent treatment. I also like doing Ash when I do stuff like this. I'll say, ask me any questions before you start, and it'll ask me a couple of questions.
Mm-hmm.
But for the interest of time, I'm just going to get it to start working so we can kick on. And then I'm saying, show me any
Incredible.
assumptions versus the prior plan before finalizing the updated workbook. Oh, not workbook. All right. Let us see what this does. So get it all that. And now you're going to see it start to think and start to work. So I'm saying load the April actuals, move this cutoff forward, add these new hires, adjust these costs, tweak these revenue assumptions, and then show me what changed. And so now it's going through everything.
Good work. So it's just like you're just seeing it load up. You're just seeing exactly all the steps that it's got planned as well for you. So you know exactly where it's up to. So you can go and have your coffee in between, whatever you need to.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
really like the area that component where you can just leave all the client files within a space as well. Like you're not having to open up several different chat windows and you're trying to create, multiple different things to manage. You just come back and said, actually load all your files here and then your AI agent knows exactly where it is, right? It's contained in that one workspace, right?
Yeah.
Really, really
Yeah.
helpful, even from an
Absolutely.
accounting, an audit background, everything else, right?
Yeah. And it's crucial then, I guess it puts more importance on the accuracy of those files as well. But again, that's how we operate,
Absolutely.
right? As accountants, we rely on
Yeah, yeah.
other files or spreadsheets or folders. And again, we couldn't reiterate this enough. Any output that comes from this, we want to be able to validate before we make a decision of it or submit to anyone who is making a decision of it. So definitely not at the stage, and it shouldn't ever be at a stage where you completely trust it, or else it'll just be AI talking to AI agents with the human out of the loop.
Yep, yep. And so when more of a personal question in this one, so when did you transition from like let's say the free workspace to the premium paid stuff? Was that quite an early transition for you because you saw the value and the
Yeah,
power with this stuff?
it's definitely quicker. So once you get on a plan, it's definitely quicker. And then depending on what you want to do. So if you use Claude Code heavily, the chances are if you're using it to do things to control your browser, as an example, that's got heavy token usage. And so the max plan, I think, is $200 per month. But honestly, in terms of productivity gains, if you can use it well, I don't recommend everyone to go on the max plan straight away. Obviously, work up the tiers, but once you start to hit the higher token rate, it's definitely worth getting on it and utilizing it, not just for your work, but also personal productivity and, yeah,
Mm,
other things.
that's amazing.
So as that happens, like we were saying in the last discussion. I like giving it a couple of instructions as it's working away. Now I can context switch and start working on something else. For, I might find a 15-minute task or something that I can power away along to. And the beauty of this is because it works in an app, it kind of does its own thing and doesn't really disrupt anything else. Sometimes it slows
Yeah.
your computer down if you've got the high intensive apps working. So here you go. It said,
But we've come from a background where backwards, like when VBA was working, right? Do you remember we said like you hit a button, the macros kick off, and we're like, we can't touch anything on our machine now
yeah,
for 2 hours, right?
yeah,
Like, if you touch anything, even open your Outlook, like it's game over, right? Like
that's
you're gonna
right.
break something, you have to restart the whole process again.
Yeah.
So this you can carry on, right?
And you still
Amazing.
need to be there with
Go
the
on.
VBA too if something fails.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah.
just,
Fails was a good comeback.
yeah. So it's essentially now understood the model. It's building the summary. It's mapping all of the ERP data. So I've got an extract here for April actuals, similar to how we had in our second use case. Uncategorized raw information. It's now mapping that to every line in that model and then
Yep.
building out the updated workbook for us to review.
Beautiful. And so it's back to the audience, like what Kev was trying to say earlier, where you're still learning with these AI platforms and like how to code and everything else. When you get the ability to start off with a code and you improve it, that concept, if you like sort of research on it, it's called recursive programming. And that's going to be critical to your AI journey itself, right? Like we only know what we know right now, but as you progress, keep those learnings on and keep attaching it to your guardrails. And now that's why Kevin's guardrails are quite long and lengthy. You can tell he's more refined now. This process is not just coming in like me being like, analyze all my transactions. I'm not going to give you any context. If you want to make things up, make it up, whatever. Like I'm good to go. And that's the real, it can be a danger. But if you can start controlling it and learning from those areas, it's going to be completely game changing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me a bit more about recursive programming, because we've always looked at that in the physical world. And now we're talking about how it applies in our tech world as well.
Yeah, correct. So I think like if we just keep stepping back into it, it's just a concept of just reiterating and relearning from all of our things, right? So these AI models learn from everything that you're inputting, right? So it's inputting, it's got its own workflows, its own process, its own brain, effectively. And so the more you keep adding to it, the more it's going to keep learning this whole area. Now, if we never correct it or never adjust anything, it's going to assume that that's going to be the source of truth. But if we keep iterating it, it's just going to keep getting smarter and smarter. And over time, now that you can almost dump in your transactions, it's going to learn from, hey, what happened to the prior set of transactions? Were there any issues that I found, or can I rely on those sets of facts? And now we can apply that. And if you came back last time and it allocated a few things incorrectly, let's say you saw BP and Ampol and everything else, and he thought it was groceries, and he said, no, it's not groceries, it's actually fuel. Oh, okay, cool. I'm going to lock that in. So for next time when I see Ampol, I can see, oh, hey, this is fuel now. It's not groceries, right? I'm not going to keep making the same mistakes. And so it's this really beautiful concept, right? Whereas how many times have we told a grad the same thing over and over again every month? And for the whole year of our life, we're like, we told you that 12 times.
That's right.
It's gone through one ear and out the other, right? So this one here, it's actually taking it on, and it recognizes not only the context, but it can come back and say, well, that might be a different treatment in a P&L if I classify it like this, and it may have a different outcome. So it's smart enough to actually join dots, which a regular person may not be able to do at that time, right? So it is really incredible to see that stuff, right? So,
yeah, absolutely. So you can see here, Ash, it's kind of starting to build it out. It's now started to give us a view as well of what it's doing. It's got the updated Excel model. It's got now, it's saying last actuals month, so it's updated to April's actuals, which we had. And it's essentially finalizing the detail, going through everything that we've asked for it to do. I think we can start to see as well.
I can start seeing the headcount change as well, right? The one you guys have spoken about there, from 18 to 19. Exciting.
Yeah. So look, it's now come back even building me a rollover summary dashboard.
Mm.
So it's telling me what's happened in April: revenue, COGS, EBITDA, gross margin. It's giving me an update. Board and sheet materials came in at 82K versus 120K planned. This drove most of the COGS outperformance. Timing accrual issue, again, great pickup here, because if there's a delta that big, it's usually, invoices or something haven't come in, or we haven't accrued or something in line. You can see here it's found an item that it couldn't find an exact model row for. So it's saying, actually, I'm going to combine it with edging, and I'm going to call it now edging, laminates, and consumables. And
Yep.
it's given us a plan versus actual variance. And this just makes it like much easier to see as well. Like, it's just like visually pleasant to look at.
Yeah. And how many, like, as in, we can clearly see what assumptions have been made. Because how many times have we built models and we're like, man, we'll write it down after, and we never do, and we come back a year later and we're like, what just happened? Like, how does this whole file work? And what was the assumptions we took in? Because at the time we just on the fly, working under a lot of pressure, fire around you.
Yeah.
Over here, you can easily interpret what's going on here, right? Like,
that's right.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
So it's given me even a cash overview saying it's going to reach negative territory by November. The added headcount costs. Revenue office only partial. The revenue recovery must accelerate in Q4. Costs need to be phased differently. Good for me to look at. Again, it's given me things to start thinking about. It's not just done work for me. Sometimes you ask for someone in your team to do something, just give it to you, and you're like, okay, now I have to go and understand this model, then do the what if and the what now, which is what we were talking about in that expo as well. But this is kind of giving you the what ifs, and now it's on you. And you can even step this further and say, all right, give me some suggested outcomes or suggested things that I can do. But essentially, it's given us now an overview of what it's done. It's given us the steps of what it's gone through, and it's given us the actual file, which now, when I go through it, we'll have it, updated based on the information that I've given it for May onwards. It's added headcount as I've requested it to, and it's updated all of the other inputs in accordance with that. So all our cash flow is now updated, and it's just a great starting point. If not even a starting point, it's actually a good intermediate point for me to now take this and pick it up from here.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Now the brilliant part is, Ash,
so if they want to get their hands on their data for this, how do they get in touch with you firstly?
Well, what's the thing they say in the when they're trying to sell something on TV? But wait, there's more. That's the one. But wait, there is more.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
So usually people go from this to like, okay, now I've got to put all this information into a board pack or a presentation. But I'm just going to copy and paste this because it saves me having to type it. But I'm saying now, using this model, build me a dashboard and a planning analysis tool for management. I want to have a dashboard view. I want to create a simple 3-scenario analysis: base case, downside, upside case. And I want to use visual reasoning. So I want to make this easy for me to play around with and show live potentially with, the GM or whoever else. And now this is going from the finance world to the visually, it's kind of crossing now marketing, it's crossing finance, it's crossing your operational decks, and it's bringing all of that information into one and putting it into a aesthetically pleasing way to present this information. So essentially, it's going to take this information and run with this. We'll see what it generates, because I haven't done this yet. I had a thing written up. So I actually tried this out up to this stage before, and I stopped there because I was like, all right, that's great. At least the first part works. So this could be anything else. So we'll see.
I'm excited to see what happens now, right? Yeah, exactly right. But I mean, back to recursive programming. If it doesn't work, we figure out what prompts need to be adjusted and where it buckled, right? So this would have taken what normally a process like this a week, 2 weeks. Like it's a long time, right? Like just to get everything sorted across the line. We're talking multiple people's heads being, involved for this as well. And you've taken a lot of that grunt out, and they can spend that time actually figuring out, going, hey, is there actually any risk? Because when you're building the model itself, you're so far stuck in formulas and whatever it is, you're not even seeing the zoomed out picture, right? So
That's right.
this is incredible.
And it's actually, there's so many times I've built models, and the first time I sit in front of the CFO, he points something out. I'm like, oh, I should have picked that up. But the reason we don't is because we're so embedded in it that we're focusing on all this other stuff. But now we can actually spend that time thinking like the CFO would. The other thing is as well, people might look at this and say, "Oh my goodness, I'm gonna lose my job." But think about all the things that come into something like this, like the conversations that have to go into getting these inputs, sitting down with the operational leaders, asking them the right questions. That's the value that this is what we were saying in the expo as well. That's where our roles as accountants need to kind of be more visible now. We need to be in front of, leaders having conversations, pulling that information out from their heads to then pull into things like this. And now that tools like this do the modeling for us, we need to be able to ask the right questions of the models so we can then present the right information to the people that'll make decisions off the back of this.
Exactly right. So if you think about that transactional role, we can see it slowly starting to, move away at points. Business partnering is going to come really focus into it. And then business partnering with technology is like another whole game changing component, right? We're appreciating the full journey of what's actually happening here.
Absolutely. All right.
What are we seeing here? Let's double check. So
here we go. It's building it all out.
It's working it all out. Because if we were just to scan over our eyes, it's not immediately obvious where the problems are, right? It's simple to come back and say, oh, we'll increase the number of new projects because my head naturally goes towards sales. But in a manufacturing environment, usually your existing plant has capacity issues as well, right? You can't just triple your volume overnight. So it'll be interesting to see what actually happens here.
That's right. So it's still doing, it's still pulling the information together, but you can start to see it now, thinking through all of the stuff that I put in there. Let's actually, as it's working through, just do a scan of it. So it's given us hang on, it's graying it out, which usually means it's.
You're annoying it now.
Yeah, maybe
it's gonna recursive program you in a second.
It's gonna knock on my door. Skynet's gonna knock on my door.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's like you're lucky I'm showing you. If not, I'll just show you just a blank screen and then you'll get it after.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. And it's actually exporting this to an Excel workbook as well. What you can see, it's given me a forecast snapshot, revenue by segment. It's given me an EBITDA and cash position. This must give you PTSD from the board reports that you do, Ash. You can see cash isn't looking good from May onwards after we make these hires.
Yeah.
And here's a sensitivity analysis.
That EBIT to cash, let's go back up. That's usually a critical gap a lot of companies don't even look at. And then they wonder why they've got cash flow problems when your EBIT smashing it, right? So,
yeah. Well, here's the sensitivity analysis. It's saying essentially, these are the different revenue offerings, kitchen and commercial joinery. Essentially saying if we lose 2 projects a month, it has 140K impact on our EBITDA, which directly flows through to cash. But if we gain 2 projects, then we get another 140K. Joinery, not as much of an impact, but still, still affects us. These are the impacts of the material cost. These are impacts of a subcontracting mix versus do we hire someone or do we outsource or get subcontractors in to do the work? Hiring pace, if we delay it by a month, it actually benefits our EBITDA by 19K. So it's giving me options now. It's giving the business owner even options to think through a few things. And then it's given us now the 3 scenario comparison that I asked it: downside, base case, and upside. So it's essentially saying, if we have a deeper slowdown, this is how much it'll affect us. This is how it'll affect our cash. And so December cash, 280K, I know now I need a bank facility or something that can potentially get to that level. I'm obviously not going to let it get to this level, but this is my worst case
Mm.
scenario. And if I'm looking at financing options, that's where I'm kind of thinking around that number. Current reforecast, this is what it'll affect us. But if there's a boom and we can get an additional 1 kitchen per month, an additional bathroom, an extra fit out, this is what it might look like. And this is a graph that does that. And then there's some assumptions here in terms of downside, base case, and upside. And it's now giving me a monthly break-even revenue month as well at our current cost base.
So
And at the
this
moment, it's
is
now building this all into
next
an Excel
level.
workbook so that I can export this. And if my
Yeah.
numbers change, then it'll update all the graphs and everything like that.
I've actually got shivers down my back. Going just seeing this. What this is so cool. Like it's actually fascinating.
Yeah, and it's crazy how quickly this has moved. Considering 6 months ago,
Yeah.
AI wasn't even capable of doing like financial sums.
Yeah. Correct.
It wasn't capable of doing complex arithmetic. But now that it's kind of
Mm.
utilizing Excel to do all the grunt work, which is pretty cool because all it needs to do is think through formulas, and ultimately all that's sitting
Mm.
behind this is code. It's essentially
Mm.
code making the maths work, and then using code to do the reasoning, and then code to build the graphs. And it's just amazing to think that it's like having a supercharged software developer who understands accounting and maths.
No, it's like you got one of everything, right? Like you've
Mm.
got that whole team there, right? Like, and you're leveraging them all at their best, like, which is incredible, right?
Yeah.
And for the good old accountant, it's putting everything exactly as you want. Like you said, downloadable Excel workbook, right? So every time something happens, oh, can we export that to Excel? In this case, yeah, absolutely, because that's what you guys want, right? So
Yeah, that's right.
it's not saying you're stuck in this environment and no one else can access it. It's your developed materials as an example. Like we've helped you build this. Move on.
While we're waiting for this to finish its thing, Ash, the other thing that there's a lot of things. Actually, we don't have to wait. Here it is. It's done.
Put some pressure on.
So here you go. It's created the Excel workbook for me, but it's given me 3 takeaways for the director. So if I'm a CFO sitting here, I'm an accountant. I've got a couple of things that I've got talking points now. If I'm taking this into a meeting with the directors of this cabinet company, essentially I'm telling them our volume of kitchens is going to make or break us. We need to have 1 or 2 more kitchens, 2 projects per month more. Commercial joinery is the easiest for us to pull in terms of cash lever. And the new hires are essentially contingent on half to volume recovery. But you can see here it started to build out. Can't actually see where is the rest of it. Let's download this and view this in a. I wonder if it's actually got the graphs in here. Because that'll be interesting if it does or doesn't. Or if it's just given me kind of a dashboard. So let's have a look and see. Open this up.
Do you remember a few months ago, I was trying to build something like this manually by myself, and this has just taken over everything, right? Like,
Yeah.
because yeah, that focus on small business and how do we get some basic budgeting and forecasting out, and this is doing everything as you need, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is truly incredible to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I think I've used it a bit, but I'm also hesitant to use it on some existing workbooks that I've so I've got some big budget builds for you know clients I work with, but it's very hard to have this look through that because I don't want it to break things that I've already created because it does have the tendency, like you saw, to change things if it thinks that it needs to make a better assumption. So my recommendation is if you're going to use this, create something from scratch rather than patch it onto an existing, you know, behemoth of a workbook. Because the chances are that it's then going to make changes which you now don't
Mm.
understand, and you're going to be trying to scramble between your logic and its logic. So I'd rather just create everything from scratch, have a clean input assumptions table which you can tweak. Um, cool. So it's given us a dashboard. It hasn't actually given us any graphs, which is interesting. But I'm sure if we ask it to create graphs, it probably would in here. But I think what it's done is it's created a HTML dashboard in here that you can extract, or even showcase by making changes. I was also saying, Ash, is essentially, I don't think we asked it to create the charts in the Excel file, and
Mm.
maybe we can try that another day, is show how graphically you can represent the data within Excel
Yep.
itself. But it does have a way within Claude where you can share the information it gives. So essentially, all we saw in here, in HTML format,
Oh, nice.
so aesthetically pleasing, and it even gives you a link. So it'll host it for you like a website and gives you a
Mm.
link to send to someone. So essentially, you have it here. You can publish artifact, and it'll then ask you, do you want to make this public or do you want to send it to someone specifically? Or you can even embed that in your website. So you can copy that link, send it to someone, and they can access this exact view
Mm.
here, which is in HTML format. And again, if you want the code behind it, that sits in here as well, which is pretty cool. Um, and yeah, I just think it's an amazing way to present your data, to non-financial people, particularly. And any changes that you make will update this. Now, the challenge with this is people might now come back the next month and ask it to produce a dashboard, and it gives it a completely different format. So
Mm.
if you like this format, you can actually screenshot this and say, give it to me exactly like this.
Yep.
Or you can just continue on this thread and say, in the same format, give me this, these views and with the new information. So in saying all that, Ash, I think that's kind of uh, a great way for us to wrap up some of what we were talking about. There are other little cool things that you can do as well. Another thing I wanted to quickly share about is skills, which is essentially repeatable processes. But I probably won't bore the public with that, because those are little tidbits that we'd love to add as we do some of these future examples. But if you look at what we were talking about in our Prezzo, essentially all the examples we've gone through now are in this 3 and 4 region. The scary part is we haven't even scratched the surface of what you can do in this 3 and 4 region. There's still a whole layer in co-working agent. There's still a whole layer in having an autonomous peer kind of working beside you or on your server or even on a standalone Mac Mini, as I have with like something like OpenClaw or something. But there's a whole world that we haven't touched, even
Mm.
in the realm of assistant and agent. So what we're doing is, purpose of this Ash is to show what's possible, but also encourage um, the people that are on the other side of the screen or other accountants to start playing. And Ash, this is probably the same with you with Excel when we learned when we were grads. You just pick one thing, try and get good at it, and do a thing or two a week. And that kind of
Mm.
snowballs into this bigger beast of skill sets that you could have if you do something diligently every day, doesn't it?
No, 100%. And like, like another key takeaway was like basically you don't need to be technical. Like, like Kev's there written these things in plain English, allowing the code to sort of do its thing. And we're not saying that we pick one system over the other. We're just trying with these systems, right? So it's been pretty good. Like even with Excel, like when I started, it was all VLOOKUPs, moved on to index matches, and now it's got, X lookups, et cetera, et cetera. Like as you keep progressing, technology will change around you. So we do need to adapt and improvise with these things as well.
Yeah. That's great. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Account Ads, part two of our kind of live AI demo. If you like content like this, encourage you to like, subscribe, but also comment and tell us what you like. It'll give us some use cases um, that we can kind of dabble down and see if we can make it work for you guys. But ultimately, we want to make your lives easier so that you can start to add better value to the business that you work within, and help you get away from the grunt work that can take some of your time away from that. Thanks for jumping on, Ash. Thanks for taking
Always a
time away
pleasure.
from the family. We'll
Always a pleasure.
catch everyone on our next episode. See you guys.
Thanks all.